Chris, welcome to the I Dare You podcast. You have no idea how cool it is to have you on the show.
Thanks, Darren. I really appreciate you having me on. It means a lot.
Well, Chris, listen, for everyone that doesn't know, you reached out to me, got Instagram direct message, and you shared with me the story of your partner, Tambo. You're a canine handler and you're a federal officer, but let's reacquaint everyone with your story about what you do and who exactly is Tambo.
Well, I've been in federal law enforcement now for going on 23 years. 17 of those years have been spent, working with dogs and the canine unit. I've been fortunate enough to retire three dogs. Tambo was my last one,
Wow.
and very, very special dog. Tambo was an explosive detection canine. So we spent a lot of time together, countless searches, countless calls, and he retired in 2022 due to a on-the-job injury and tore an ACL, which at the time I thought it's pretty significant thing to deal with. His mobility was pretty limited at the time and struggling. And that's kind of when Project Canine Hero came into the picture.
Tambo. Did I read that right? He searched over 10,000 cars, over 500 calls, or do I have it reversed? I mean, he is he is unbelievable, isn't he?
Well, yeah, and first, Darren, I want to kind of give a shout out to my entire canine unit. All those dogs on that unit are searching that many vehicles. They're tireless workers.
Unreal.
Yeah, it was about 10,000 vehicles and over about 7 years. And after a while, that it starts to take a toll on anybody.
Okay. So yeah, let's talk about Project Canine Hero. What is this organization, and how did it show up for you and Tambo when you needed it most?
So Project Canine Hero is a national nonprofit that provides care for military working dogs and police working dogs that have retired and are suffering through some significant health issues. The burden of the cost falls on the handler. So a lot of these dogs, their significant health problems happen after they retire. So
Oh,
that's where programs like Project Canine Hero step in, and what they do is pretty amazing. They provide healthcare, veterinary services, and end of life care to these four-legged heroes for the rest of their life.
what's the background of that organization? Why do they exist? Who started it? Because this is the first time I've heard about this organization.
Yeah, founder is Jason Johnson, and Jason has a long history in the canine industry, is well known, and always had a passion for helping the working dogs, and his dog Flash, which was the law enforcement dog of the year to the American Humane Society in 2018. After Flash retired, he wanted to do something, start a program where he could provide assistance for these heroes in their retirement and provide the care because there wasn't anything out there.
Wow.
And Jason, if you ever talk to him, he'll tell you he started the program with $500 in his pocket, and it's grown national now, where he's supported over 300 dogs in the program and provided them the care. And I can tell you that he's now saved Tambo's life twice.
Well, let's talk about that. You and Tambo have been through a ton here in the past few months. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, so after Tambo recovered from an initial ACL tear, Project Canine Hero funded that surgery, brought Tambo's mobility back, and Tambo was doing amazing. He quickly became an ambassador for Project Canine Hero. We did a lot of events with the Orioles, with the Phillies. He was honored on it shortly after he was honored by the Phillies on his 11th birthday for their salute to service game. I got up that morning like any other morning, fed him his breakfast. He was enthusiastic to eat, went to work that day. And then, I came home and, when you get so in sync with these dogs there and you know the little things that are off with him. So
Sure.
he just wasn't acting himself. He was lethargic. I noticed he had vomited a little bit in the other room and there was just something off with him.
Yeah.
I could just, he was kind of looking at me and giving me that look and, I knew I had to take him in. So, long story short, rushed him over to the local pet ER. His mobility on the way over there was getting worse, so I knew something was significantly wrong. Got him in there. They quickly came back and told me that he had a mass on his spleen that burst, and when that happens, the abdomen starts to fill with blood, and at that point, it's a life or death, situation. So, with no
Hmm.
time to act, I quickly, called Jason up, and all Jason said is, Chris, we got your and Tambo's back 100%.
Oh,
Tell them to do whatever they need to do, and Darren, the hard part for a lot of people is that in that situation, um, finances come into play for people where they have to
yes.
make a decision. And I don't feel like anybody should ever have to make a decision with their working dog, someone that served the country and served them, based on finances. So that was a big relief for me.
Oh, I can't imagine. I cannot imagine. So I love dogs. I mean, who doesn't? I'm not alone in that. But I had a dog. He was a golden doodle. Name was Buster. At 7 years old, I woke up in the morning and he was something was off, and took him into the vet. They opened him up, and sure enough, he had the same thing. He had
Wow.
a ruptured, and he had cancer throughout his whole body. And so right there, we had to put him down. We decided to.
Yeah.
But look, part of the equation was, even though no one likes to talk about it, it's the finances behind it as
Yes.
well. You mentioned that he was looking at me, giving me that look. And what does that mean? Because I think there's such this connection between you and Tambo and the handler and the dog. And tell me more about that, Chris.
Sure. Um, it's it's hard to describe, Darren, but you spend so much time with these animals, driving to work, those countless hours, those times, sitting at home in silence when you're going through something hard, or you're working them, and you have that unspoken bond where you know what they're going to do and they know what you're going to do, and it's that trust that exists, and that's not that built overnight. You have to work at that. You have to earn that. But when you get those dogs' trust, they will lay down their life for you, and and they give you the look, and it's an interesting story because before Tambo went back for surgery, they said he's a little anxious. Do you want to come back and see him before we do the surgery? And,
Right.
and and they advised me that, hey, he may not make it through the surgery. So when I walked back to the room, I was coming from behind him, and they feel the energy, and he instantly turned around and knew I was in the room, and he saw me, and we just kind of locked eyes, and I told him that, hey, Dad's here, everything's going to be all right, and we're going to get through this. And there was this instant calm that came over him, and I knew he was going to pull through, Darren. I did,
Did you?
and I did, and I knew his resilience, and I knew the kind of dog he was, and I knew that he was going to make it, and I had that confidence. And it was funny. They also told me, hey, he has all these masses on his spleen, and while we were feeling on the liver, we think that this is possibly spread to the liver. Are you sure you want to go through with the surgery? And I
Yeah.
said yes. And I can't tell you exactly why, but I had confidence in that things were going to be okay with him,
Yeah.
that he was going to be okay, and I was doing the right thing by him.
That's great. I mean, that's what you need to do, right? Do the right thing
Hmm.
for him. That's what you need to do. So good for you. Just absolutely, absolutely incredible. They are. I've heard you say this in other interviews, Chris. They are the forgotten heroes. You don't use
Yeah.
that word lightly. They are heroes, aren't they?
Yeah. There are silent heroes, are forgotten heroes. They're tireless workers, and you can't put a price on the loyalty that they have toward their handler. And they're meant to serve, and they're meant to work. And they've tirelessly and silently served our country and our communities for decades. And I think you know that's why I kind of wanted to come on and put that on the forefront of what these heroes are doing.
Yeah. It feels like these dogs, they are more than just partners. How are they more like family to you and to thousands of others around the country?
I mean, they become part of your family. I'm a firm believer when a dog's working, they're there to work, but when they're home, is just letting them be a dog, and that means playing with their toys at home, interacting with your kids, and lounging on the couch. It's funny. It took Tambo a while to earn that trust with me,
Really?
but after he did, yeah, he was a little aloof at first, and I remember that first time he would always wanted to lay near me, and it was not too long after I had him, and we were still kind of feeling each other out, and I remember I was on the couch, and then I got down on the floor, and I let him come over to me on his own time, and he kind of came over, nudged his head on me, and then kind of laid his head in my lap, and I knew right there that I had his trust, and
It's good.
and we were good. And it's those silent rides in the car, that knowing that you're in this together, you're in this mission together, you're driving to work together, you're going home together, you're not doing it alone.
Yeah.
And I'll say that's the biggest thing that I miss, having that connection with him. And I'll say even now at 11 and going through chemotherapy, every morning when I leave at 5 a.m., he tries to come to work with me
Oh my gosh.
to the
Come
to
on.
this day. Yeah. But yeah, it's still tough to leave him. And he still loves anytime, we go in the car, he thinks we're going on another adventure. I remember when we did the Phillies salute to service game, and they kind of took us underneath the stadium to get out to the field, and it was kind of a warehouse area underneath, and the whole time we were walking, he was searching. He thought he was on the
Unbelievable.
job again.
That's something else. You
Yeah.
mentioned before we started recording that something big is coming up, I believe, on the 27th of August. And share with us that's a special night coming up.
Yeah, so being from the Baltimore area, I'm a lifelong Baltimore Oriole fan. When the Orioles heard about what was going on with Tambo, they reached back out to me and offered to bring myself, Tambo, and my son back out for Bark at the Park night on August 27th as a
That's best.
kind of as to honor Tambo and what he's going through, and kind of as a final salute to him, which means the world to me that I can, have my childhood team, my son, and Tambo with me, and
Oh,
and kind of leave a lasting memory for my son as well.
how cool is that? That's a dad moment on a lot of levels. So this is a special night, isn't it?
Oh, it's huge for me, and it's something that when this is all said and done, I'll be able to look back on this. I kind of told Tambo we're going on one last big adventure here, so we're gonna do this together, and we're gonna make the most of it. I don't know how much time he has left, but I'm grateful for what Project Canine here is doing, and they've given me more time with him, and I'm going to make the most of it.
That's so good. So, Chris, looking at Tambo's diagnosis and his treatment, what are some key things coming up that for Tambo over the next few weeks or few months? What does it look
Well,
like?
I just went and got his pre-blood work done this week. Everything is looking good. His white blood cell count was a little low, but that's normal for going through chemotherapy. However, this next one is a little nerve-wracking because they are going to do an ultrasound on the liver to make sure there was no changes to it. So
Yeah.
that'll be done before the next chemo session. So I'm praying and hoping that all is still clear and we can continue on with this journey.
There we go. Prayers for Tambo and his medical team. And the way you're talking about the medical treatment, it's as if you're talking about truly, it's a family member, and you're also working full time. How are you fitting all of this in, sir, if I may ask?
It's tough. I work for a great organization. They've been very gracious with giving me the time off that I need. Tambo's going for his chemo sessions every 2 weeks, which I take off work to drive him up to Pennsylvania from Baltimore.
Yeah.
It's funny, the support that I've gotten not only from my family but from people that I've never met before has been truly amazing. I think in the last news segment, I mentioned that Tambo thinks that every time the UPS guy comes now, the packages are for him, and many of them have been. People have sent me toys, treats, dog beds, and just words of encouragement on Instagram, which has truly been amazing. And sometimes just words of encouragement, sometimes people don't realize how uplifting that can be for somebody.
I can only imagine, sir. I can only imagine. Hey, the experiences that you and Tambo have had and are having, I mean, they're just limitless. But can you think of one example, maybe a moment that best captures the bond that you have with Tambo?
Yeah, again, Darren, I'm going to go back to before he went back for his surgery, and he was on the table. He was very anxious, and I could see that he had that initial panic in his eyes,
Mm.
and kind of entering the room, him seeing me, and that calm coming over him. And one of the things I reflected back on, Darren, is how many times he did that for me,
Mm.
because in life is challenging, right? We go through things. We lose loved ones. People go through divorces. They have challenging things that go on in life. And I was telling a friend of mine that Tambo's presence alone is comforting to me. Him just being there, and so I felt being there for him at that time was nothing compared to the times that he had been there for me.
Yeah.
And life hits you hard, and these dogs, it's that powerful presence, that unspoken bond of them being there, and that energy that you feel um, is is undescribable. But he had been there for me so much, and seeing him that day and us locking eyes and me just telling him, "Hey, buddy, everything's going to be okay. Dad's here." That calm that came over him, and he, I think he knew at that point that he was going to be okay. He was going to
Good.
get through that.
That's good. They do sense that energy, don't they? You brought that up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it was funny that I served as a judge for the canine games at the World Police and Fire Games in Birmingham. One of the things we always tell the handlers is that energy goes down the end of the lead. For the dog says, "Okay, dad or mom is acting different." So then the dog starts to search differently. And then they say, "Okay, well, there must be something here because dad or mom's acting different." The dog picks up on every little aspect
Oh,
of your energy. So when you're searching with these dogs, you have to have a clear mind, especially looking for things like explosives. You can't
oh,
you can't go into that and have things on your mind, and you have to be able to trust your dog. You have
right.
to know you're searching something, and if that dog is willing to leave it, then there's nothing there.
Wow. Chris, I'm a thankful citizen, and I appreciate all that you and these canines do for us to keep us safe in our country. When you are with Ambo and others, when you're rolling up on a situation, do these dogs sense something? That's probably a bad word, but I mean, as you as a handler, are you kind of saying, okay, my dog is now looking somewhere or has a different way about them that it's like your spidey sense goes up because of what the dog is doing? Yes?
They know when they're going to work, and when they're going to search something. It's funny when I would, and it was not just for me, but it was for a lot of the dogs on my unit. Is we would get maybe a mile away where we're working or where we're going to search, and all of a sudden the dog would go from, sleeping in the back of the SUV to now he's spinning in the back, and
Whoa.
he knows, and they know, okay, it's time to go to work now. It's time to put on the work face. I'm not in, I'm at home lounging on the couch mode. It's time to go to work, and that was the beautiful thing with all three of my dogs is they were able to turn it on and off, and it's great to see them come home and be able to relax, but it's also amazing to see these dogs in their element and to be so stoic and confident and agile. It's just an amazing thing, and I would tell the handlers when I was running our unit to enjoy this time while you have it, because it doesn't last forever, and that human animal bond, and to be in sync with these animals, and to be working with them every day, you have a job that a lot of people only dream of, and not everybody can do.
I can only imagine the types of calls that you and others, law enforcement and your canines are on. An observation that when you hear that dog bark, for me, if I heard that, it's done. I'm done. What do you want me to do? Because I want no part of what I know is coming. And there's something primal about this, Chris, isn't there? When you hear that dog just kind of give a couple of barks, I mean, everything changes. Yes?
Yeah, and we say all the time, sometimes just the dog's presence is enough for deterrence alone. Their stoic nature, their confidence that they exude going out on a call. Sometimes their presence alone is enough for deterrence and compliance.
Yeah. We had just had a tragic situation last night. Two law enforcement officers were killed. A third was injured, and the canine was also injured. Just another reminder of just the danger that these first responders and these canines are under every single day. There's not a question there, Chris, but again, to you and to the thousands of others who are in this line of work and the canines, we owe you guys a debt of gratitude. So thank you for what you're doing. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Darren. And I know we're getting ready to get into Project Canine Hero, but if you go onto their website, there's actually a lot of stories that Jason's posted about dogs in the program that have been injured in the line of duty, that have been shot, that have been stabbed, that have been hit in a vehicle accident, and Project Canine Hero has saved their life.
Unreal. But let's talk about Project Canine Hero. How can we get more involved in this organization and learn more?
Well, Project Canine Hero, they're on all social media platforms. If you look up Project Canine Hero on Facebook and Instagram, you can kind of not only follow the story of Tambo, but you can also follow the story of a lot of other dogs in the program. And then if you go to their website, projectcaninehero.org, there's ways to donate to the program. There's a specific link if you want to donate to Tambo's care or any of the other dogs in the program. And one of the wonderful things that they do, Darren, is after the dogs do pass, they have an artist that paints a portrait of the dog and sends it to the handler, which I think is magnificent. And it kind of really gives them that closure that they need in a lot of ways.
That is classy. That is so classy. They do that. I love that.
Yeah, it's an amazing organization. So bringing more awareness to the program and providing care for these, as we stated before, these silent heroes that have silently served and are sometimes forgotten is important.
You've got, boy, this is such a moving interview. You sent me a message via Instagram, and I'm so glad that you did. So we got connected. What have you learned from Tambo through this whole experience, this journey? You've used that word a couple times.
Is trust and the bond that you can truly have. And the biggest thing, Darren, is the spirit, is resiliency. And I think about everything that Tambo's been through, from having double ACL tears to barely being able to walk, to coming back to his mobility, to now fighting cancer. So the resiliency and the will to live and the desire to live in the moment and and be happy. Because if you think about it, we get caught up in life, and we worry about the little things, and we let these little things bother us. And these dogs are just excited to see us.
Huh.
They're they want to be with us all the time. They want to do simple things like, hey, let's go to work. Let's go for a car ride. Let's go out and throw my Kong around in the yard. And they just want to be with you. And I think we can learn a lot of lessons, just enjoy what we have in front of us. And, one of the big things that, after this diagnosis is I try to enjoy every moment I have with him. Sometimes you're rushing out of the house in the morning to get to work and you give him a quick pet, but I try to sit down with him in the morning and spend some time with him now, and just try to take that all in. But I think not only with him, but with all of us in life, with our family members and loved ones, we need to do that more, because, nothing's guaranteed in life for any of us.
After I said I'd never get another dog after my other dog passed, sure enough, I got another dog. One thing I'm trying to do a better job of is remembering, just like you said, to the dog, that trip to the grocery store. It's not just a trip to the grocery store. It's an adventure. It's like the best part of their day. You roll the window down and they get the wind in their day. And it's so easy to forget that in just the pace of our lives. Yes? Am I close?
Absolutely. And just taking in their enjoyment of the little things makes you appreciate everything more, just in general, because we get so caught up with our phones, and we live in a technology driven world now. And, sometimes just taking a step back and just taking everything in and enjoying it.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Right. So, Chris, you talked about Project Canine Hero, but what's the best way to follow you and specifically Tambo's journey?
You can follow him on Instagram, Darren. I've decided to kind of document this journey that we're going on. This is a decorated police dog that's lived a wonderful life, and he still is, and he's got the drive and resilience, and he's fighting hard. And I hope that is not only an inspiration for other people that are dealing with that with their canines, but maybe just them themselves dealing with something.
That's great.
And so you can follow him on Instagram. It's lowercase k, the number 9 _ at Tambo, TAMBO.
Got it. You're a good man, Chris. You're a good man. At the end of every episode, I ask my guests, what is your I Dare You challenge for all of us? I can't wait for this. So, Chris, what do you think? What is the one thing that we could do or try to live a better life? What do you think?
I think that the big thing is sometimes we get caught up in our own feelings and our own life, but we need to be advocates for others. And what I mean by that is being a voice for the voiceless, being a voice for people that sometimes can't speak, whether that's an animal, a working dog, a child, a senior citizen, a veteran. There's so many programs that are out there that sometimes don't get that platform, and bringing that to the forefront and being an advocate for other people and these programs that are out there, is important.
It's great. And Chris, I am so honored you reached out and for coming on the podcast. Thank you so much for sharing the story of Tambo, Project Canine Hero. We are praying for Tambo and for you and for his medical team. And thank you for your service and for Tambo's service. It was such an honor to have you on the show.
Thanks, Darren. It's been an honor, and I'm very appreciative for you to let me come on and kind of share Tambo's story with everybody. So thank you so much.
So, Chris, obviously, Project Canine Hero doing a lot of great things. You mentioned that people can contribute, but also I read somewhere that there's something else going on with Jason and trying to get some congressional attention to this matter, right?
Yeah, Jason has something called the Canine Hero Act, where he's working through legislation and the House and Senate to get a bill passed that would finally provide care for these military and police working dogs in retirement.
I never talk politics in the podcast except for right now. Tell me, Chris, that the right and the left can come together on helping canines.
There's a few things in life that bring people together, and one of them is dogs.
Amen.
So you could have somebody from the far right or far left, but you have a dog there, and guess what? They're both there petting that dog, and for a brief moment, they forget about all the other stuff, and they're just focused on that dog, and being around that dog and the comfort that that dog brings to them.
It's good. That's exactly what I needed to hear right there.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
I did have one funny story. I don't know if you wanted me to share it or not, but
Yeah, do it.
a few years ago at a conference, we were in San Antonio. We were at a law enforcement conference, and a coworker of mine, we were sitting at a table. It was an event that was sponsored by Tito's Vodka. So we're sitting at a table, and these two gentlemen come up and sit down with us, and didn't know who they were, and everybody's coming up to get pictures with this one gentleman, and I kept asking. I said, "Who the heck is this guy?" Well, it turns out it was Tito, from Tito's Vodka.
Is that right?
So long story short, ended up hanging out with Tito most of the night and talking about our dogs. I was talking about Tambo specifically. We exchanged numbers. So after Tambo got sick, I texted Tito and I said, "Hey, he's battling this right now. He's fighting hard." And I tell you, Darren, within an hour, his philanthropy team called me and made two generous donations to Project Canine Hero.
Come on, come on.
Yeah, they're huge animal lovers, and like I said, they made two very generous donations to Project Canine Hero in the name of Tambo, which I was very grateful for.
Well, that's great. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have a Bloody Mary, a Tito Bloody Mary in honor of. How about that? I'm gonna do it.
That sounds amazing. Yeah.